last time I showed you a little bit about Light Elegance gel and how to use it because it is a hard gel. Most of their products are hard gel, which means they can't be soaked off with acetone. However, you can use them on natural nails. So I wanted to show you with my last little nail that I haven't done here, how you can actually use hard gel on natural nails, specifically on an actual nail so you can see it in action. All right, so I'm going to show you guys real quick with some buttercream here. I've got buttercream and I've also got Light Elegance glitter in Joan Crawford. So I'm going to quickly show you how to use these on your natural nails and how you can also make it a removable surface. So I have my natural nail here. As you can see, I shortened it down. This is my natural. I've got a little teeny crack right here. Because I didn't have any product on here, my nail bent yesterday when I pushed on something. So I have a teeny little crack. No big deal. That'll actually get fixed. And as you can see, I've got this really pretty dark green color, which is actually Don't Be Late. It's like a really dark green, which I just love greens. I'm very partial to greens. So I've got this color on most of my nails, and then I've got a combination of gold metallic buttercream, which is awesome. Buttercream is a brand new gel. As you can see, it is a little bit more kind of fluffy looking than the other hard gels. And the cool thing about this product is that you can actually change its properties by agitating it or stirring it up. So if I stir this up, it becomes much more liquidy, and so I can use it as a full nail color. You can also use this for nail art, and I can pop that little bubble right there. But you can see it's got a little bit more of a fluffy texture, very high coverage, and goes on really nice. I actually really like this product. So I'm going to use this as the base for my glitter, and then I'm going to be using Joan Crawford glitter. This is one of the new glitters from the Hollywood collection. It's got really big flakes, as you can see in there. And I just love this color. All right, so without further ado, I'm just gonna keep my lids on these guys just so that my lights don't affect them. And I have my natural nails. So first things first, I'm gonna take a nice gauzy wipe, and I'm going to take my cleanser, which I keep my cleanser in a custom Swarovski little bottle here. My one for cleanser is blue, and my one for soak off acetone is pink. So I basically just pump this on here, and I can show you how I do that. So I just put some cleanser on my wipe, and I'm going to really do a good job of cleansing my nail. I already did all of my cuticle work and everything, so it's already nice and clean, but I just want to clean this really well. Make sure there's no bacteria or oil. And I also like to clean underneath. So when nails are a little bit longer, I like to actually clean under the nail, make sure there's no oil or debris. So when this dries, you'll see a really nice chalky white nail. I do have a little bit of residual gel on here in spots, but I don't really care because I'm gonna cover that up. And I usually keep gel on my nails all the time. So if there's a little bit, no big deal. Okay, so I am going to start with Air Bond. Air Bond is an air drying adhesive agent, so it basically helps to create a better layer on your natural nail for any gel products to adhere to. Helps dehydrate the nail, and it is like a kind of a non-acid primer, so really helps to kind of create the best surface for putting gel on. So you can see it says air dried bonding agent. So I've got that, all right, and I let that dry for a few seconds. And then I'm going to, since I want to be able to potentially remove this with acetone, as I mentioned in my last video, I'm going to actually create a soak-off base at the very bottom of my natural nail. I'm going to put a soak-off base. So I'm going to use the P+ base coat, and I'm going to do a couple coats of this just so that I have a nice buffer if I wanted to be able to file down to this later. So I'm just going to take a little bit on my brush. I like to start halfway down the nail. That way I'm not flooding the cuticle if I accidentally get too much. Since this is a brand new bottle, I can scrape off some of it. And then I get closer to the cuticle area. Make sure I perfectly cover without touching skin. And I can just gently cap the free edge. And as soon as I'm happy with that, I'm going to stick it in my LED lamp for 30 seconds. Okay, so I've got my first coat of P+ down, and I am gonna add 1 second coat again, just so I can have a nice buffer Sometimes with one coat, especially if we're wanting to be able to file down to the soak off layer, one coat is just not thick enough. And we definitely want to make sure that we're not filing down to the natural nail when we're working and trying to remove this. So I'm going to add a little bit more, kind of float it on. I've already got everything capped, so I don't need to go crazy with the free edge, but I just want to make sure I've got like a nice kind of smooth surface to work on and have enough gel to file down to and remove with acetone if I want to. So you can also, if you want to, again, I've shown you guys a lot in my videos, turn your finger upside down if the gel is getting too fast on you and it's moving around. Just turn your finger upside down, let it wait in the center, gravity will pull it down, and you're going to be able to immediately get everything back under control, and it'll help you with your line of light as well. So I'm looking for those nice smooth lines on my nail to tell me that it's smooth. So I'm going to go ahead and cure that for 30 seconds. All right, so I've got my soak off base here, which is going to help me if I ever wanted to remove this nail with acetone. All I would need to do is file through the color or the glitter until I start to see my clear base coat. Then I could put an acetone soaked wrap on and it would soak off the rest from my natural nail. So this is just a great way that you can implement a soak off base with hard gel products, and that way you have a semi-permanent service. You don't have to worry about having to file the whole thing off. If you are doing a hard gel service, you can choose to do hard gel from the base coat all the way through, but this is a great way for people that are a little bit nervous about having to e-file everything off. You can always soak off if you need to. And it also gives clients kind of that feeling of, oh, I can remove this later if I'm not sure about the service. Okay, so I am going to use buttercream in gold metallic, really pretty color. And I like to use a specific brush for my glitters and my my kind of shimmery colors. So anything that has kind of a metallic pigment or anything that has glitter, I usually use one brush specifically for that because it does tend to put shimmer in it. So if I used this brush for the gold metallic and then I go to use it for the green, I am going to get some kind of shimmeriness on my green. So I don't want that. So I'm going to make sure that I use one brush for all my glittery gels. So I'm going to pick up just a nice little bit of the gold buttercream. I keep it on one side of my brush just so I have better control. I'll turn this around so you guys can see. So again, I can paint the bottom half of my nail first just to kind of get it on my nail. You can see it's really high coverage and it goes on super smooth, super silky. And then I can push it up close to my cuticle. And I just kind of like bulldoze the gel up there and then pull it down. You can also use your finger if you're working on yourself to pull back your skin. And with the gold, I'm going to do a really good job of making sure it's perfectly clean all the way around, because then when I put my glitter on top, it's going to look like the glitter application is nice and close to the cuticle and perfect without touching. And since I'm going to cover it with glitter, I don't have to worry too much about, you know, perfect metallic texture, but I like to just do a little tap, tap, and pull to make sure that the gold is nice and even. So you guys can see really nice full coverage with just one coat. I'm going to cure this for 30 seconds in an LED lamp. All right, so I've got my gold nail here, and now I'm going to coat it with glitter so it matches my other glittery nails. I do have a little bit of gold left on my brush, so what I can do is just take a wipe and squeegee that off, nice and gentle, keeping the bristles in one direction just so I don't get too much of that gold in my glitter color. You probably wouldn't be able to tell, but it's a good idea just to get in the habit of cleaning. And then I'm gonna take, this is a very, very chunky style of glitter. It's got big shards of gold glitter. So I am gonna have to finish file this, which I'll show you how to do to make sure it's nice and smooth before I put my top coat on. But I'm basically just going to try and get this nicely applied so I've got kind of like an even coat of coverage. And it does have little kind of shards, so you want to kind of position them so that they look nice around the cuticle area, they look nice in the middle of the nail, and then you've got good coverage. So you'll notice I'm not painting it on like gel, I'm not painting it on like polish, I am kind of icing it, using it as more of like my brush as a spatula, moving it around on the nail, and I'm just barely touching it to move it around. I want most of the glitter concentrated on the center because that's where you're gonna see the glitter when people look at, you know, when you look at your nails, when clients look at your nails. So if it doesn't go all the way to the side, that's okay. But I'll turn my finger to the side. just to make sure that that looks good. And you'll see like there's some big shards in here that are kind of bent. So we'll file those down, no big deal. Since this is hard gel, you can easily finish file it. And then on the other side, again, I'm just gonna try and get it nice and close so it looks good. If it's a little bit thick, that's okay, but I'm looking for like overall kind of shape and thickness. So it looks pretty good. I've got a couple pieces sticking up, but nice and sparkly. And then I'm gonna cure that for 30 seconds in an LED lamp. All right, so I've got that out of the lamp. I'm going to quickly clean my brush, take off any excess gel. And again, I like to just nicely put it back into a nice oval shape before I put the lid on. And now I'm going to make sure that all my brushes are capped, my gels have their lids on, and that way I can go ahead and proceed on with my service. Now there's a couple ways to do this, and it depends on the glitter. Some of the glitters, if you file directly on the surface, it will actually remove the color of the glitter. So it depends on if the glitter is indeed gold, or if this were like gold, silver glitter that was painted gold. If I finish file directly on top of this, it might actually ruin a little bit of the glitter. So a great way to get around that is you can use one of two gels. Actually, you can use pretty much any gel. The two most common are One Step or Manicure. Both are clear, thin, hard gels. So depending on which one you prefer, you can actually encapsulate the glitter first a little bit before you start finish filing it. That'll also help to encapsulate a little bit of these little shards, and it kind of prevents you from filing too much on the actual surface of the gel. So let me just show you kind of quickly what One Step looks like. So it's a little bit hard to see because they are in black jars, but usually by turning a jar to the side, you'll see it move pretty quickly. See how it just runs really nice and fast. And if I were to dip my brush in here, you'll see also that it's kind of like syrupy, and it kind of makes like a nice stringiness. So you can see kind of how thin it is, and also depending on how fast it self-levels again in the jar, tells you really quickly whether or not this is nice and thin. In contrast, Manicure Gel is, I believe, the thinnest out of all of them. So you can see, again, nice and thin. One Step does cure shiny, so that's why some people prefer One Step. It's called One Step because you can basically use it for all the different layers in the nail. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of this gel, and I like to use a slip layer. It just makes it so much easier to get the gel where you want it. So just paint a nice thin layer all over the nail, covering all of the glitter. Make sure you don't put too much by the cuticle, nice and thin. And then I can quickly grab just a teeny bit more, and I can float this down the center of my nail to just create kind of more of a nice arched shape. Again, it might seem like I'm putting a lot of gel on my natural nail, but I'm gonna finish file this, and I'm really not making my nails that thick. If you look at my other nails here on my other hands, the actual free edge of the nails is not thick. And for salon style, I do like to put a little bit more of like an arched shape on nails when I do them for salon work, because clients are prone to breaking their nails. So if we're gonna finish file this, I wanna make sure I have enough gel on the nail, and I do like the apex to be a little bit further back. So like right about here, I can bring this down just a little bit more to thin out the free edge. And then I'm gonna cure that for 60 seconds in the LED lamp. All right, so again, I'm gonna take my pump, moisten a nice clean wipe, and I'm going to clean my nail. And remember, I like to shimmy back and forth and pull straight down. That way I'm not getting any uncured gel up onto the skin on my finger. And I can fold it over as well, so to use a clean side, make sure it's nice and clean. You can see it is shiny. And I still do have a couple little bumps here that you'll be able to see. So you can see that little shard peeking out, a little bit thick, but I am gonna finish file this, so we'll end up right about the same as my other nail here. And I've got a nice clean surface, so I'll be able to file this really easily. Now this is the same file that I used to file my other nails, so it does have a little bit of green on here. but no big deal. And you can file directly on the color if you want to. I filed directly on the color on these nails, and then I did a clear layer on these before I filed, and you can't really tell the difference. It doesn't really ruin the color. What I do is I finish file that, and then I'll put one more coat of green nice and thin to kind of disguise any scratches in it before I put my clear top coat on. But I'm gonna use the same file. So this is 100 on one side, so this is the 100 side, and you can see this is the 180 side. So depending on what you prefer, I'm gonna start with the 180 and just kind of nicely go through this nail and file the remaining bulk off and make sure it's nice and smooth. So I like to pull back the skin, and I like to come up on the sides to make sure that it all comes like nice and thin on the sides and up into the center. So you can see I'm kind of like filing up in there. Then I come across the cuticle area like so, and then I'll come down this side. One way that's easy to do this is to turn your hand around, and you're gonna be able to file that side really easily. And you'll see like I am filing on the clear part of the gel, so it's not peeking through yet. Now around the cuticle area, since I am so close to my skin, I'll usually turn it around and use the 180 side. I've got a little bit of bulk right in here. And one thing that I learned when I was a brand new nail tech, I could never figure out why I always had like humps on the end of my nail, like my nails would dip and come up. Part of it is the application of your gel, but one way to make sure that your nails are perfectly smooth is if you're looking down the barrel of your nail, it also helps you see the curvature of the surface. But if you put your file right up on the surface of the nail like so, you can actually file and rock this back and forth. So your file is basically doing this as you move back and forth, and it's gonna make everything super smooth on the surface, so you're not gonna have any humps of product. So if I'm looking at it like this, I can file, and then I just come across the top, and everything gets filed down into a nice smooth shape. Everything comes smooth to the tip of the nail. So you can see here, I've still got my apex height here, but everything is starting to get filed nice and smooth towards the tip of the nail, okay? So it's gonna really make everything nice and streamlined. And once I get most of the bulk off and I get everything kind of nice and smooth, I usually will switch to the 180 side so it kind of polishes the nail. That way I don't end up removing too much product. All right. And then real quick, I usually do go over the top just to make sure everything blends nice and smooth. I'm not using very much pressure. Gel files really, really easily. So I just kind of look for all the little areas and imperfections I don't like. You can also polish if you like to. If you want to do it that way, you can polish at the very end to make sure everything's kind of nice and smooth. But really, we're just looking for kind of nice, even arch across the top and a nice, even arch this way as well. So that'll help you kind of get everything nice and smooth towards the tip and a nice kind of salon style shape here. And obviously you can also e-file this as well, but a lot of you guys asked me how I hand file, so I wanted to show you. And then the 180 side does kind of help to polish everything, so everything's nice and smooth. Again, I just look from the side to make sure everything kind of comes out without it being, you know, notchy. And then last but not least, I do like to file the sides just in case any gel came down and ruined my overall shape. I'll fix that. And then sometimes I will do it one more time at the very, very end just to make sure everything looks really, really nice. Okay. So we can still see our little particles of glitter gel in here, and it is protected by that clear layer that we have, so nothing's gonna get damaged there. And then I'm going to clean this, and then we'll be ready for top coat. All right, so I've got my cleanser here. You can see when it's wet, I've still got my glitter. And now my nail is nice and smooth. There's no little bits peeking up. It's got a nice shape to it, just like my other nail. And then I'm just gonna put top coat on. You can also cleanse with a manicure brush as well. So sometimes what I find is before I put top coat on, wipes tend to not get in all the little nitty gritty areas. So you can also put cleanser on a manicure brush and then clean the nails, and it also helps you dust off the person's hand. It's also sanitizable, so you're not going to use like a dust brush like this is not obviously able to be sanitized. So I like to use manicure brushes with cleanser, and then I can stick them in my disinfectant and make sure that they're nice and clean for every client. This also helps to make sure all the glitter and dust and anything else that I'm working with is out of the cuticle area, and then I can go ahead and put on my top coat. All right, so now I'm gonna use super shiny top coat. Again, get it nice and close to the cuticle area. And I really just need a nice thin coating because I already did the shaping of my nail. I already finish filed it, so I don't need to really perfect anything with my top coat. I'm just going to do a nice thin coating, make sure it's nice and even. And I like to cap the free edge. Anytime I cap, I like to go back and smooth everything out so I don't end up with like a lump on the end of my nail. And then there you have it. I'm gonna cure this for 30 seconds. All right, and then with a nice clean wipe, I'm going to clean the super shiny top coat. It does have an inhibition layer, so I need to cleanse it. And again, I can make sure it's nice and clean. And there you have it. All done, nice and sparkly and perfectly smooth on the surface. So even with that chunky glitter, we've got a really nice shape, not thick on the free edge because we did finish file it and we didn't put a ton of product on the very end of the nail. So even with hard gel, I do get a nice salon thickness, which is perfect for clients. The other thing I love about this hard gel is that now my nails aren't bendy at all. So I can type away, everything feels nice and firm and secure. And I love this green and gold combination. And the glitter, even though we only did one coat, looks much more high coverage because we did put that gold base down before we did the glitter.